All right. Well, welcome everyone. I am Alex Smith. I work in the admissions office here at Episcopal High School, and this is our Explore Episcopal session on girls lacrosse. And so I'm so happy to be joined by Coach Taylor, who's our head lacrosse coach here at Episcopal, as well as for student athletes. And I will kick it over to them so they can introduce themselves, and then we'll get going.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. My name is Ashley Taylor. I'm the head coach of the girls lacrosse team here at Episcopal. I'm also our dean of students. This is actually my 11th year at Episcopal. And in addition to working in the dean's office and coaching lacrosse, I teach in the science department and advise upperclassmen. And I live here on campus with my husband, our 2-year-old daughter, our dog, and we are actually expecting a baby in January. So growing family. I'll kick it over to Lucy Dixon, who's our first player, who's going to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Lucy Dixon. I'm a senior at Episcopal. I came to Episcopal as a new sophomore. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I also play varsity field hockey and basketball. And I also am a monitor and an EHS ambassador. So I'll kick it over to Lucy Whitaker.
Hi, I'm Lucy Whitaker. I am a junior at Episcopal. I came as a new sophomore as well, and I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm also an EHS ambassador, and I'm a leader of the One Love Club here at Episcopal. I'll kick it to Nan.
Hi, I'm Nan. I'm a sophomore at Episcopal, and I live in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm a student representative for BSA, and I will kick it over to Abby.
I'm Abby Snowden. I'm a new sophomore here, and I play midfield and defense, and I'm also in a band.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Coach Taylor, do you want to kind of give a little bit of an overview of your program and talk a little bit about sort of the basics before we get into all of the details?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm excited to give you guys sort of a brief overview of our program here at Episcopal, and then we'll leave lots of time for Coach Smith to ask questions and for you guys to hear from the 4 girls who are here actually playing on the team. So as I mentioned, this is my 11th year at Episcopal. I actually grew up in the area and played high school at one of the local day schools. So I remember coming to campus when I was a high schooler to compete at Episcopal. I then went on to play at Brown University. And our assistant coach, Stephanie Smith, who works here full-time as well, she's a member of our McCain Ravenel Center, which hopefully you'll get to hear lots about during the admissions process. It's one of our signature programs and connects us as a boarding school directly to Washington, D.C., and she has a major role in that department. She played at Duke University. And before coming to Episcopal, she actually had some coaching experience at the collegiate level as well. So she coached at both Georgetown and Duke, Georgetown while she was getting her law degree. So I do think we're really lucky to have such an experienced and qualified coaching staff here at the varsity level. One of the things that I love at Episcopal is we are a part of the Independent School League, which is a group of private schools here in the DC area. And we also compete in the Virginia division, which we call VISA. So on our schedule every year, every game matters. So previous schools that I've been at, we're often trying to fill a schedule with some games. Here, everything really matters. And that's really exciting. So each year we're competing against some of the best teams in the country, teams like St. Stephen's, St. Agnes, Georgetown Visitation, Collegiate, Stone Ridge. And we're always competing for our spot in the ISL and our spot in the Virginia State Division, which really, I think, brings a nice intensity and focus to each practice and each game, knowing that they really all count for something. We are very proud of a number of our players who go on to play at the collegiate level. Certainly not all of our players go on to play at the collegiate level. There's lots of space in our program for all types of athletes and all types of lacrosse players, but we do have 9 players currently playing at the collegiate level, 4 of those at the Division I level, and 5 of those at the Division III level. And I highlight that just because it's important to me and to Episcopal that we're helping kids find the right school and the right program for them. So I think that balance of kids who have chosen to compete at the Division I and chosen to compete at Division III really speaks to the work that we do to help kids find the right fit for them moving forward. The girls here will probably be able to speak to some of the club lacrosse opportunities. That's oftentimes a question that we get, is if you choose to come to Episcopal or go to boarding school, can you continue to compete with a club lacrosse program? The answer is yes. That looks different for different kids depending on which club they're affiliated with. And I think that Abby and Nan in particular can speak to that a little bit later, but did just want to put that out as we often get that question. Also just wanted to highlight a new exciting thing for us has been the creation or establishment of the St. James complex, which is this unbelievable sports facility that's about 10 minutes away from Episcopal. And they have a winter league every year. So we unfortunately obviously haven't been able to play this year due to COVID, but last year in their opening winter league year, we were able to play together every Sunday. That's an off-season opportunity. It's completely voluntary and optional, but we had a great turnout and the girls had a lot of fun just getting to play together in a really informal way on the weekends during the winter. And so we're lucky to have that facility so close by, in addition to all of the beautiful facilities you see on the slide right now. In addition to our varsity program, do just want to mention we have a really wonderful JV program as well. And so I think one of the things we're most proud of for the lacrosse program, but really for the athletic program overall, is the variety of levels and experiences that our student athletes have. So today we do have 4 of our more experienced, stronger lacrosse players with us. But we also have a number of students who come to Episcopal having never played lacrosse before at all, who are interested in trying it, or students who have played but may need a year or two at the JV level to develop before they're ready for the varsity. So lots of different opportunities for the girls to play depending on what they're ready for. And with that, Mrs. Smith, I think I can send it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you. That was great. Lucy Dixon, I'll put you on the spot first. While we have the slides up, could you talk a little bit about our field space and sort of what our facilities look like? We've got this outdoor slide here, and then we also have one showing some of our indoor spaces. So can you just talk a little bit about what spaces you use for the lacrosse program?
Yeah, definitely. So we use 2 main fields for practices and games. So the one on the bottom left pictures is the bowl. So we have games there, or we switch with the boys team and practice in there, which is a lot of fun. And then there's a field behind the bowl that we also use. And then in terms of the athletic facilities themselves, we have a workout room. Yeah, there we go. So we have a weight room we have a trainer that we can, a lot of times on certain days, we'll get the trainer and do some group work with everyone, and that's a lot of fun. And then on the weekends, if you ever just want to get extra work in, you can go in, and it's really open anytime you need it. The picture on the right is the locker room. That's my favorite place because we all get ready and like excited before the games, and like blast music and just get hype. And then, yeah, there's also an indoor track. So if you want to run, but it's like raining outside, and then there's also the outdoor track. So.
Awesome. Thank you. So I would love to ask, let's see, who's next? Nan Holt, let me ask you a question. What does a typical practice look like for the varsity team? What time do you head out? If you can remember back that far to a while ago. And then what do you usually do at practice?
I can't off the top of my head actually remember the start time of practice, but you have class and then you have time to go change for practice. We usually obviously start with stretching because, you have to stay limber. And then we usually end up having a stretch circle. We always work on footwork and quickness because that's a very important part of the game, obviously. Before we work on some stick skills and some team skills. So like some plays, maybe some 6v6, 7v7 sort of thing, usually to end practice.
Awesome. And Lucy Whitaker, can you talk a little bit about what the schedule typically is like? I know the season was cut short last spring for you, but normally how many practices do you have a week? Do you practice every day? And then how often do you have games?
We normally practice every day a week. This year our schedule was a little different, so Mondays we didn't have practice, and then games were normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe. And then we would also have some games on Saturdays, and then optional Sunday practices if we wanted to do that too.
Awesome. And Abby, so you're a new student this year, so I would love to hear your perspective on kind of joining the program and what it's been like. And maybe was lacrosse a reason you chose Episcopal? Kind of what's your view coming in this year?
Definitely. Lacrosse was like a big part of my decision. And I was actually like pleasantly surprised with what we were able to do like during practices. Like I feel like my stick got a lot better and so did my footwork. That's like kind of fundamentals that you kind of forget about. So it was really good to kind of return to the basics and like brush up on that stuff.
Awesome. Well, Coach Taylor, how do practices differ for if you're a JV level player? Is the intensity different versus a girl that wants to be on the varsity team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think there's a pretty significant difference in the intensity level and commitment at the JV and the varsity level. I think as Nan alluded to at the varsity level, kind of once we get through that stretching, that staying limber that she talked about, we kind of get right into some pretty intense conditioning, footwork, stick work. And then a lot of it is spent on more sort of advanced team concepts. So playing 7v7, working on some set offenses, defenses, plays. The JV level is going to be much more of a introductory, get out, play, learn your own style, get to know the game, work on your stick. So their practices are also, competitive and intense and fun, but is much more of an opportunity to learn the game, learn the different positions, work on your stick, as opposed to some of the more advanced sort of game level concepts that the varsity team would be focused on.
Awesome. Lucy Dixon, what's it been like? Obviously now you're a senior, so you're in a little bit more of a leadership role. What's it been like for you over the last couple of years transitioning from a new student and maybe the people that had an impact on you when you first joined the program, and now you're in that role of welcoming new people? How has that kind of affected your life here at Episcopal?
Yeah, definitely. When I first came to Episcopal, I was so intimidated by all the girls. Everyone plays lacrosse. It's Virginia, definitely bigger than North Carolina lacrosse. But when I came, the girls were super sweet and just like, it was easy. It was easier than I thought, which I really appreciated. So this year I made a note for when Abby came in and all the new students to try to make it as easy as the seniors did for me, and to just talk to them, because I understand what it's like being new and being on a lacrosse team. So, just trying to make people feel comfortable, and yeah.
Awesome. Lucy Whitaker, what's the team like? What kind of personalities do you have? What are, some of your favorite parts about being on the lacrosse team?
We definitely have a lot of fun, memories together. Everyone's really fun and just easygoing. And I feel like normally on a lacrosse team, the lacrosse team I was on freshman year at my old school, it was very much there was two freshmen, then there'd be sophomores who hung out together, juniors who hung out together, and then seniors. I feel like it's all fluid and it doesn't matter your age. Everyone gets along perfectly, and it's just I don't know, everyone's just perfect together.
Awesome. Well, Nan and Abby, do you guys want to talk a little bit about how you do balance club teams and Episcopal and kind of the schedule and how that all works and what you've been able to accomplish with both kind of obligations that you have?
I got so lucky with my club coach. I told him that I wasn't going to be able to go to practice because we couldn't leave. And he was like, that's totally fine. As long as you're still practicing, that's awesome. And then I think as soon as we left, I had a tournament that I was able to play in, and Nan's team was there too. So it was really fun.
Yeah. So I was unfortunately not able to go back to campus in October. Because I was staying back to go to lacrosse practices. But last year I was able to go off campus on the weekends, obviously signing, getting my leaves approved beforehand. But I was able to go off campus to practice, to tournaments, and to games. The school is very allowing of you to play sports outside of school, stay in shape and all of that. And my coach was very appreciative of that I was able to, still come to practice, but still be able to play at school. And yeah.
Awesome. Coach Taylor, how do tryouts work for your team? Who's invited to do that, and kind of how do you approach who kind of goes on the JV team and then who makes the varsity team?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a whole sort of range of how kids find their way to the varsity team. There's certain kids, like someone like Abby, I got to know last spring through the admissions process, and hopefully this video will lead to lots of great conversations like that. So someone like Abby was actually totally on my radar early on. Other kids who come in, I may not have been as in close contact, and are just interested in trying out when we get to the spring. So we do have tryouts in the spring, right before spring break. And that's when all kids who are interested in playing lacrosse at any level will come out to try out either for the JV or the varsity team. We do also, as I mentioned, play in that winter league and have some opportunities in the off season. And that's really great. That gives girls a chance to kind of see what it's like. So I'll actually use Lucy Whitaker as an example. She had a chance to get involved with the lacrosse girls early on, and she's an amazing player. So she found out very quickly that playing with the varsity girls was the right place for her to be. And so I think coming into the season, she had a sense that she would be interested in trying out for the varsity and being a part of that team. So being a spring sport, it's not quite as straightforward for every kid as some of the other seasons. But we do have kids find their way throughout the year and then hold the formal tryout right before the spring season.
Awesome. Thank you. And Lucy Dixon, can you talk a little bit about what that tryout process is like and what those practices look like? What do you normally have to do during that period of time?
Yeah, so I play basketball. So when basketball ends, I usually can't make the lacrosse tryout. But from what I've heard, it's there's a running test, but it's reasonable. It's fun sometimes, you never know. 300s that we run. Anyways, there's also a bunch of drills, and I really can't speak too much on it because I haven't really been because of basketball. So if anyone else wants to.
I can talk more about that. So since there are some people who aren't necessarily knowing for sure if they want to be on the varsity level yet, it's more just fundamentals and more it's like a practice, but it's also just getting used to being together and getting our chemistry as a team together. So it's a lot of learning names and passing and running and footwork and just I don't know, just getting more used to lacrosse at Episcopal.
Awesome. Coach Taylor, can you talk a little bit about, I know you touched on kind of who's in our league and kind of how the state tournament and all that works, but could you walk through kind of what the season looks like in terms of, so tryouts are at the beginning and then how many games you typically play, who you usually play against, and then how the tournaments work at the end of the season?
Yeah, absolutely. So our season will begin in late February usually. So as Lucy Dixon referenced, usually basketball, which has had some amazing seasons the past couple of years. So they're usually competing late into the tournaments. So we'll start late February with our tryouts, and then we actually go on our school spring break. And we go on a school lacrosse trip together. So during the second week, we'll go on a training trip. And every year that location has changed. So we've gone to Virginia Beach, we've gone to Florida, different locations depending on the year and kind of what the team needs. And that's a great time for the girls to get a ton of lacrosse, but they also have so much fun together. So lots of bonding, lots of opportunities for them to get to know each other. And we really were so sad last spring as COVID kind of came through right literally as we were about to get ready to head to Florida. And so we missed out on that last spring. We then come back to campus and we play about 18 games in our regular schedule. And like I said, what's so fun is that those 18 games are all related to either the ISL or the VISA. And so every game that we play from the second we get back all the way through the middle of May really matters for our ranking in those two divisions. We have a league tournament And then we have a state tournament. The state tournament each year, only the top 8 teams in the state are invited to attend. And so we're proud that we attend that tournament and have been invited to be a part of it as one of the top 8 teams in our division. And then the league tournament, all 8 teams in the league division play in that tournament. So it really is fun having coached at different schools and having played at different schools, that literally every game on our schedule all the way through matters one way or another. And that makes each one really exciting.
Great, thank you. So my last question is actually for all of you. And so I would love to know what your favorite part about being in the lacrosse program is, and what really makes it so that you enjoy your time with each other.
When I was like making my decision, I actually spoke to Lucy Whitaker on the phone, and she was like, I love it so much. Like, we just work perfectly together. And I was kind of like, okay, like, is she like really telling the truth? Like, there's no way it can be that great. And then I got here and I was like, oh my God, like, it's totally like that. I don't know how it works, but like, it was so fluent right away. There was no like disconnect with the players. We all just kind of like knew what to do, and we work really well with each other.
Sorry. Kind of like Abby's experience in the 8th grade, I was actually able to come to part of a practice when I was still like making my decision on what school to go to. And the girls really seemed to like bond during the practice, and they were just doing a passing drill, but it all seemed so like fluent, like how they all worked together. And even after like they changed who they were passing with and all that, it all still flowed really smoothly, and everyone seemed to get along really well, and a lot of like team chemistry.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So I think one of the key factors on how like we're so fluid and can work together really well is because Episcopal is 100% boarding, and we're all with each other all the time. And so that gives us like off the lacrosse field a level of like bonding that you wouldn't have with any other team usually, because we're living together. And so I think once we get out on that field, we all like decompress and just have fun with it together, because yeah.
Like Lucy's saying, I think it's like the family aspect of it. Like, it gives you more people to be able to talk to and like just say hi in the hallways too. And especially because we have a big diversity of like ages on our team, it gives us like, we have 1 freshman on our team, so we can all like say hi to her and get her more used to the school. And I think it's just nice that we're like on and off the field all together and just can spend time together.
I would follow up just to say, sort of from the adult perspective of what they're illustrating and kind of sharing about their friendships and love of each other, is that the girls really support each other. They're not competitive with one another. Well, you know, they are in the good way, like they want each other to get better and they push each other, but they truly want each other to do well. And actually one of the pictures in the beginning of the slideshow is like one of my favorite, because it actually has Lucy Dixon like so genuinely happy for her teammate Diamond. And so I think that the friendship and the family and the fluidity that they're talking about really translates to this really healthy dynamic where they're having fun. They want to get better. They want to work hard, but they also want the girls next to them to succeed, which, you know, is really impressive and speaks to their character really, to play at such a competitive level and still have that love and support of each other.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else, Coach Taylor, or any of you guys that you feel like we missed, or that you want to kind of talk more about, or do you think we're good?
If anyone has questions, just search my name up on Instagram. And I'll answer it. I'll be honest.
Awesome, Abby. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say, you know, I'm so glad that the admissions office has put together this opportunity, and it's always nice to see some of the girls and hear you guys talk about your experience. But obviously we miss having people here on campus. So whether you find Abby on Instagram or you find me on email, or, you know, Abby referenced conversations that she had with Lucy Whitaker, Nan coming to practice, we want to be as accessible to you all as you're making decisions. And we want you to make the right decision for you. So just let us know how we can help. We're always happy to talk and eager to share more.
Awesome. Well, thanks all of you for taking the time to do this. And for those of you who are watching, like these guys said, if you have questions, let us know. If there are things admissions wise that you need, let me know. I would be happy to help as well. So we're here to help you through this process. So thank you. And we hope to hear from you soon.